was Saturday night. I turned the TV on just to see what was going on. You've been gone a while, didn't hear from you. I just want to know if you're safe and sound, 'cause I want to know if you made it out or if you're caught up in the mess. So tell me, are you okay? 'Cause I don't wanna lose you. It ain't easy 'cause I know I'm better with you. But tell me, are you okay? 'Cause I don't wanna say goodbye. I don't know what I'll do.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Healing Connection. I am your host, Joey McBride, and today's episode is going out to all the young adults out there. So far, we have had conversations with veterans, first responders, caregivers, and spouses, and now I think it's time for the youth to have an episode. Yes. They may not hear it as early as some of you are listening to it right now, but you could encourage them to listen to this one. You may also get something out of this as well, or at least get yourself ready for any questions that may come later. Anyways, this is made for the whole family, but right now, this one is made just for them. So, let's dig in and catch the next train. Let me start with a question. How many of you have ever been asked, so, where are you from? And your honest answer felt more complicated than people expected. Because for some of you, that answer is not that simple. For some of you, home is not one place. It's several places. It's memories. It's people. It's the friends you had to leave. It's the house you barely got used to. It's the school you finally figured out right before you had to change again. And that's one of the reasons why I respect military teens so much. Because a lot of people admire your strength, but they do not always understand your life. They see the move. They see the outside. They see the new schools. They see a new beginning. They hear words like sacrifice, resilience, flexibility, service, and commitment, but they do not always see the emotional cost. They do not see what it feels like to start over again and again. They do not always see what it feels like to miss people in multiple places at the same time, even after you've made friends with them. They do not always see what it feels like to worry quietly. They do not always see what it feels like to walk into a room where everyone else knows everybody's history and the inside jokes, friendships, and routines. And you're trying to figure out, hey, where do I belong? They do not always see what it feels like to have your life shift because of a set of orders, a deployment, a training schedule, a transition, a phone call, or decision you did not get to make. And because of that, many military teens become good at one thing: moving. You learn how to adjust. You learn how to read the room. You learn how to start over. You learn how to say goodbye. And you learn how to act like everything is okay. But here's what I want to talk to you about today. Knowing how to move is not the same as knowing how to stay steady. And some of you already know that, because you can function and still feel tired. You could smile, but still feel lonely. You can adapt, but still feel unsettled. You could be doing what needs to be done and still carry more than what people actually know. So, this talk is not about pretending to be strong. It's about real resilience. It's about how to stay steady in a life that moves. And here's one line I want to build this whole message around. You do not need a life that never moves. You need a soul that knows north. I'll say it again. You do not need a life that moves. You need a soul that knows north. Because most of you cannot control how much life moves around you. You cannot control every change. You cannot control every goodbye. You cannot control every disruption. You cannot control every transition. But you can build something inside of you that movement does not get to steal. You can build depth. You can build clarity. You can build identity. You can build courage. You can build honesty. You can build faith, values, character, and hope. And if you've learned how to do that now, while you're young, it will change your whole life. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you stop losing yourself every time life changes around you. That is what I want for you. I do not want you just to survive your teenage years. I do not want to just become experts at adapting. I want you to become steady people, rooted people, honest people, whole people, people who can go through hard things without letting hard things define just who they are. So today, I want to talk about 3 things. What it really means to be steady, what military life can quietly do to your heart if you never dealt with it, and how to begin life, how to build a life on the inside that stays grounded even when everything on the outside is shifting. My hope is that before this is over, some of you will know exactly what conversations you need to have. Maybe with me, maybe with a leader, maybe with your mom or dad, maybe with somebody you trust. Because sometimes a life starts changing the moment a person finally tells the truth. Being called strong is not the same as being okay. One of the strange things about military life is that people often compliment your resilience before they know your reality. They say things like, "You're so strong. You're used to this. You can handle change really well. You military kids are so adaptable." And maybe some of that is true, but sometimes people call strength is just survival. Sometimes what people admire is the fact that you've learned how to keep going and how to do what you just do. Sometimes adults mean well, but they confuse your ability to function with your actual well-being. I want to say something that I hope lands in a deep place today. Do not confuse being adaptable with being okay. Those are not the same things. Some of you know how to pack a room in an hour. Some of you know how to make friends fast. Some of you know how to stay calm when plans change. Some of you know how to keep your emotions to yourself so you do not make life harder for everyone else. But just because you can carry around something does not mean it is not heavy. And just because you survive some things does not mean it does not affect you. In fact, one of the biggest dangers for military teens is this. You can be good, so good at moving that you never stop long enough to ask yourself what moving has done to you. You learn how to pack boxes. Some of you also learn how to pack feelings. You pack disappointment. You pack fear. You packed loneliness. You pack grief. You pack frustrations. You packed anger. You even pack questions. And you never even packed things that words have for. And when life keeps moving, it can easily feel just keep carrying it until you unpack it. But here's the problem. What you bury does not disappear. It travels. What you do not process in one session shows up in the next one. The unspoken pain travels. Unprocessed loss travels. Hidden fear travels. The pressures you never named travels. You can learn travel into your next school year, into your next friendship, into your next relationship, into your next conflict, into the way you see yourself, into the way you trust people, into the way you respond when life gets hard. So, if you only hear one thing in this part of our talk, I'd like for you to hear this. Being strong does not mean pretending nothing hurts. Real strength is being honest about what does hurt and does not quietly shape your whole life. Some of you have been brave on the outside, but inside you're fully exhausted. So some of you have been trying to be low maintenance. Some of you have been trying not to be a burden to your parents because you know that carries a lot. Some of you have been telling yourself, it's not a big deal. Other people have it worse. I should be used to this by now. Heck, I'm even fine. But pain does not become less real because you downplay it. And your struggle does not make you weak. It makes you a human being. So if today does anything for you, I hope it brings you here. You stop performing strength and you start pursuing the truth. Part 2. Steady does not mean still. Now, let me tell you what I think being steady actually means. Because when people hear the word steady, they often picture someone whose life never gets shaken. But that's not real. That's not life. It is clearly not military life. So let me give you a better picture. A steady person is not a person whose life never moves. A steady person is a person who knows what matters the most when life does move. That is why I keep coming back to that line. You do not need a life that never moves. You need a soul that moves north. Think about a compass. A compass can travel through mountains, forests, storms, deserts, cities, unfamiliar ground. Their environment change, the weather change, the surrounding change, the direction of the road change. But the compass still keeps pointing north. That is what I want for you. Not a life with no movement, a life with direction. Not a life with no uncertainty, a life with the inner center. Not a life where nothing is hard, a life where hard things do not get the final word. Because if you do not know what north is, then every change around you will start to change within you. Every new group of people will determine your worth. Every new environment will determine your confidence. Every disappointment will determine how you see yourself. Every hard season will determine whether you still have hope. This is very exhausting. You are not made to rebuild your identity every time your zip code change. So, what is north? For some of you, north is faith. For some, it is a conviction that your life has purpose. For all of you, north should include the truth. Your worth does not move every time your circumstances do. Let me say that again. Your worth does not move every time your circumstances do. Your address may change, your routine may change, your friends may change, your school may change, your season may change, but not your value is not. You're not just the new kid. You're not just somebody who has to keep adjusting. You're not just your parents' career. You're not just your family's stress. You're not just your anxiety. You're not just the move. You're not just the goodbye. You're not just the lonely season. You're not just the one thing that happens to you. You're more than your circumstances. And if you do not settle that deep in your soul, life will keep trying to name it for you. It will tell you you don't belong. You're always behind. You'll never catch up. People really don't really understand you. You're too much. You should be stronger. You should be over this by now. Being steady means learning to answer those lies with truth. Truth says, I may feel alone right now, but I'm not forgotten. I may be in a new place, but I'm not starting from something of nothing. I may be shaken, but I'm not broken. I may not control my circumstances, but I am still responsible for who I become in them. That is where the power is, not in the controlling everything, in refusing to let everything control you. Part 3. The most important work might be the work no one sees. Here's something I really believe. Some of the most important growth in your life will happen in places nobody claps for. It will not always happen in the obvious moments. It will happen in quiet ones. It will happen when you finally admit, I'm not okay. It will happen when you stop numbing out and start paying attention to your own heart. It will happen when you tell the truth about what you miss. It will happen when you stop saying it's whatever, not when it's whatever. It will happen when you let someone you really know. It will happen when you ask for help before everything gets worse. It will happen when you decide that being strong does not mean being unreachable. And I think this matters so much for military teens because a lot of you have learned how to read the room before you speak. You know how not to cause extra stress. You know how not to make things harder at home. You know how to stay composed. You know how to keep moving. But the part of you that learns how to stay composed may also need to learn how to be known. And that is not easy. Because honesty feels risky. Because some of you are thinking, what if I say what I'm really feeling and nobody gets it? What if I say something and people think I'm just ungrateful? What if I tell my parents how hard this is and they feel guilty? What if I open up and I don't know how to put it back all together? You know what? Those fears are real. But let me tell you what is also real. Silence can shape your life just as much as pain can. You think that things you say will never affect you. Your feelings will never be the same, will still influence you. The hurt you never unpack will still come with you. And that is why some of you do not need another pep talk. You need one real conversation. You need one real conversation that can change your life. Because fixing it does not fix everything in one night. But because it breaks isolation, it brings truth into the light. It gives pain to give a place to go. It helps stop carrying you everything alone. And some of you, before this is over, need to have that conversation. Maybe it's a conversation with a parent. Maybe it's a conversation with your mom. Maybe it's a conversation with your dad. Maybe it's a conversation with both of them. And you know what? Maybe it's a conversation with just me. Maybe it's with a leader. Maybe it's with a counselor when you see one. But here's the challenge. Before this ends, do not just think deeply. Speak honestly. Do not leave here with insight only. Leave with honesty. Because insight without honesty can still leave you stuck. Part 4. 3 questions that can change your life. I want to give you 3 questions, not just here today, to carry with you during this your entire time. And I really mean carry them with you. Think about them. Write them down. Pray through them if that's part of your life. Bring them into a conversation. Here's the first question. What have I been carrying that I never really unpacked? Not what sounds spiritual, not what sounds impressive, not what sounds small enough to say out loud. What have you really been carrying? Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's disappointment. Maybe it's grief from leaving people behind. Maybe it's pressure to be strong. Maybe it's confusion about your family. Maybe it's loneliness. Maybe it's resentment. Maybe it's anxiety. Maybe it's the exhaustion of always starting over. What exactly have you been carrying? Because you cannot heal what you keep hiding from yourself. Here's the second question. What have I allowed my circumstances to say about me that is not true? This is a huge question because hard seasons are loud. Moves are loud. Goodbyes are loud. Loneliness is loud. Failure is loud. Even stress is loud. People's opinions are loud. And if you're not careful, your circumstances will start telling you who you are. They will say, you do not belong. You're too much. You're too behind. You are invisible. You're never enough. You're only valuable when you handle things well. You're only lovable when you are easy. And none of these things are true. So I want you to ask yourself, what lie have I started believing? And what is the truth instead? Now for the third question. What conversation do I need to have before I leave this podcast? Not someday, not eventually, not when you feel more ready. What conversations do you need to have? Maybe it is, Mom, can I tell you what moving has felt like for me? Dad, I know you carry a lot, but I need you to hear what this season has been like for me. Can I tell you something I've been holding on or holding in? I don't need to fix this right away. I just need you to hear me. I think I've been acting stronger than I really am. I miss people more than I say. I've been more anxious than what I have let on. I need help. I'm tired. I'm angry. I don't know what to do with my feelings anymore. These sentences are not dramatic. They are very powerful. Because sometimes healing begins with a sentence. Sometimes freedom begins with a sentence. Sometimes a family gets closer because one teenager finally finds the courage to stand up and say what has been true for a long time. So, I want to challenge you. I do not want to waste this podcast by only having thoughts you never turn into words. Part 5. What real strength looks like. I think a lot of young people have been given a bad definition of strength. I think they think strength means never cry, never need help, never slow down, never admit to fear, never let people see the struggle. That is not strength. That is hiding. Real strength looks different. Real strength tells the truth. Real strength stays as often soft-hearted without becoming weak. Real strength asks for help when help is needed. Real strength does not let pain become identity. Real strength keeps moving forward without pretending everything is fine. And sometimes real strength even looks like this. Taking one next step, not fixing your whole life, not figuring out your entire future, not resolving every family issue, not becoming perfectly healed overnight, just taking one step, one honest conversation, one text, one prayer, one journal entry, one walk, one apology, one boundary, one appointment with a counselor, one decision to stop numbing out, one choice to let somebody in. That is how resilient people grow. They do not become steady all at once. They choose to become steady one truthful choice at a time. And military teens especially need to hear this. Starting over does not mean that you're starting from zero. You are not empty-handed. You bring things with you. You bringing perspective. You are bringing adaptability. You are bringing strength. You are bringing awareness. You are bringing lessons. You are bringing maturity. You are bringing survival. Yes, you may be in a new place, but you're not a brand new person. Yes, life has asked a lot of you, but that does not mean it does not take it from you. It has also formed you. Now your job is to let that formation become wisdom instead of hardness, compassion instead of distance, depth instead of silence, purpose instead of drift. That's what sets growth apart from mere measure. Part 6, a reflection moment. I want to ask you to do something for the next minute. You don't have to say it out loud. You don't have to perform anything. Just be honest with yourself. I want you to take a breath. Breathe in. Hold it for 4. Breathe out for 4. Relax for 4. That is what is known as box breathing. That's something that you can carry with you every single day. So when things feel tough and strong enough to overwhelm you, try that. I hope it works for you. Then I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions. What have I been carrying? What lie have I started to believe? What conversation do I need to have? If a name comes to mind, pay that attention. If a sentence comes to mind, pay attention to that. If a heart comes to mind, don't run from it. This podcast is not just a break from life. It could be a turning point in life. But turning points usually begin with the truth. I want to close by speaking directly into the part of you that may be tired. To the part of you that knows how to adapt, but is tired of always adapting. To the part of you that knows how to be strong, but is tired of always being the strong one. To the part of you that misses people and places you do not always talk about. To the part of you that worries quietly. To the part of you that smiles in public and struggles in private. To the part of you that has learned how to move well, but is not always sure how to stay steady. You know, I tell a lot of your parents, either they may be either a veteran, they may be a first responder, they may be a caregiver, they may be a spouse. But I also give them all one thing. They know they can call or text 988. You can do the same thing. Whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, whenever you feel like you have nobody to talk to, call or text 988. There is a real person. It is confidential. They're not going to turn around and call your parents. They're not going to turn around and call a meat wagon to come get you and take you away to a hospital. No, it is all confidential. If you do not feel like doing that, you know you can always email me at cooljoe77@heroobjective.org. And I promise, if you email me, what is you say to me will be confidential. I will not pass along. The only time I will pass it along is if you are in danger, if you want to harm yourself or harm someone else. That will be the only time I have to break that silence. And I don't ever want to do that. But I am here for any part of it. I will never let you go. I will help you every step of the way. I will find you help one way or another. Even if you and I have to do a conference call with somebody on 988. If you feel comfortable with that, I will be there with you. But I also want you to know your parents can be there too. If there's one that you would like to be with you, pick that one. If you have a counselor, talk to them. If you have a pastor, talk to them. It's okay. People are here for you, and you are not alone. So hear me. You're not weak because life has affected you. You're not failing because change has been hard on you. You're not broken because you still feel some things deeply. You are not behind because your story looks different than someone else's. You are not less valuable because life has more movement than most people can understand. And most of all, you do not have to lose yourself just because life keeps changing. This is what I hope you remember. You do not have to lose your voice. You do not have to lose your tenderness. You do not have to lose your identity. You do not have to lose hope. You do not have to lose honesty. You do not have to lose yourself, because you do not need a life that never moves. You need to know the soul that moves north, and a north that can be built. It can be strengthened. It can be protected. It can be deepened by truth, by connection, by courage, by values, by faith, by honest conversation, by asking for help, by refusing to let your circumstances name you. So before this podcast ends, here's what I want you to do. I want you to have one real conversation, not just a surface conversation. a real one. Tell someone what you've been carrying. Tell someone that life has felt like for you. Tell someone what you need. Tell someone what you've been afraid to say. Maybe the bravest thing you do during this whole podcast will not happen in one big moment. Maybe it will happen in quiet moments. And if that happens, that conversation may matter more than you actually realize, because life change does not always happen in loud moments. Sometimes life happens in honest ones. So I want to leave you with these words one last time. You do not need a life that never moves. You need a soul that moves north. And I want to add one more line to it. What moves around you does not have to control what grows within you. This is your choice. This is your power. This is your challenge. So stay honest, stay open, stay grounded, stay connected, stay brave. And when life moves, do not lose yourself in the movement. Stay steady. Remember, as well as all your friends will always have your six. I am signing off for now, and I hope you have learned something from this. This will probably not be the last one for you young adults. This is the first one. So remember, I will sign off for now, and until next time, I will see you on the flip side.
'Cause I don't wanna lose you. It ain't easy 'cause I know I'm not with you. But tell me, are you okay? 'Cause I don't wanna say goodbye. I don't know what I'll do without you. Are you okay? So tell